What are the 3 common qualities that all overnight successes have in common? Number 1, nothing, because they simply just don't exist. But you know what does exist? Earned successes. Earned successes, they are people who have been consistent, they've built their character, and they're committed for the long haul. Success, it simply doesn't happen overnight. It takes hard work, dedication, resilience. To reach a level of success that a person dreams of, well, it's important to understand that it's a process, and this process, it takes time. So if you're hoping to become an overnight success, well, it's important to be prepared to put the work in for about the next 10 years or so. And so that's why today I want to give you the ABCs of becoming what people call an overnight success. If you're new here, welcome to the show, and if you're returning, welcome back. My name is Caitlin Ward, and I am your host. Thank you so much for joining me today. Before we jump in, go ahead and give this video a like, comment, subscribe, and even share this with someone you know. Also, turn on those notifications so you're alerted every single time a new episode is released. By the end of this video, you will learn 3 qualities of quote-unquote overnight successes and how to apply them to your life so that you can stay on the road to achieving your dreams and goals in your life. Let's jump right in. Point 1A, always be consistent. Building successful careers and a lifestyle and anything that you really desire, well, it requires sustained effort. A willingness to persevere through challenges rather than expecting instant gratification or just, quick riches. Consistency, it's the quiet force behind every single great achievement. It's not about doing something one time with intensity, but rather it's about showing up day after day after day with intention. When you're consistent, you start to build trust with others, but also you really start to build trust with yourself. Some of you maybe have not experienced your dreams or your goals fulfilled because you really don't know how to keep your word to yourself, and so you never set big dreams or goals because you don't trust that you'll ever make it happen. But when you start having this consistency, well, it trains you to learn how to actually trust that you're going to keep your word and trust that you're going to do what you say. So consistency is important. And with this consistency, you develop habits that compound, momentum that builds, and progress, well, that sticks. Whether it's your career or relationship or personal growth or whatever it is, the results, they just don't come from occasional big moves. They come from small, repeated actions to stay committed to even when the motivation fades. Consistency separates the wishes from the ones who actually win. So consistency, it separates those 2 kinds of people. The ones who wish to achieve something and the ones who actually are going to achieve something. Listen to this story of this individual named Melanie Perkins. She has an amazing story of consistency because she started with a basic yearbook design tool in Australia, and she pitched a simple graphic design platform to investors over 100 times, and well, she was turned down repeatedly. She kept refining the vision though, and she stayed consistent, and she started slowly building a team and then eventually launched Canva in 2013. It seemed to take off suddenly, but it was years of persistence and effort that really got her team there. And today it's used by over 100 million people, myself included. Canva went from being rejected over and over to now a $40 billion company. Melanie Perkins, she was consistent. Even after all the no's, she stayed consistent. Another person who has an incredible story of consistency is the founder of Spanx, Sarah Blakely. She had a 7-year grind before her big moment on Oprah. Before her overnight billionaire moment, Sarah spent 7 years selling fax machines by day and then working on Spanx at night. Selling fax machines doesn't seem like it's that fun, but she still made time to work for her dream, even though she might have had a busy schedule. And so she heard no's from countless manufacturers and investors, and so she wrote her own patent, and she used all of her savings to launch this product and did every single bit of marketing herself. And it was only after Oprah featured Spanx that the boom happened, but it was the foundation of 7 years of work, of consistent work, that got her there. If she didn't have that consistent work before there would be no product that Oprah could have offered on her show. But it's because of her consistent action. It's because of Melanie that she stayed consistent, and now Canva is used by, honestly, probably you and me. But it's important to stay consistent. But also, during that consistency, there's something that develops inside of you, and you know what that's called? It's called character. And that brings us to B, build character. Overnight successes, well, they don't exist. We said earned successes do. And your character is vitally important in that process because it's forged through the challenges that you encounter. And those challenges on the path to success, well, they're crucial for growth and resilience at anything that you do. Building character is about who you become in the process, not just what you achieve. It means that you're developing integrity, you're developing resilience, humility, and a strong internal foundation that can weather both success and setbacks. Every challenge you face, every hard choice you make, it's the opportunity to shape the kind of person that you want to become. When you focus on building character, you stop chasing the shortcuts and you start embracing growth. Whenever you do shortcuts, shortcuts, it's in the name, they're short-lived results. But when you embrace the long term and you embrace it, like we said, we embrace the consistency, we embrace it, we are able to build something that's going to last. True success is sustained not by talent or luck, but it's by the strength of character behind it. You've heard that old saying that says, talent may get you there, but it's character that's going to keep you there. So our character is vitally important, and we see it in the story of King David in the Bible. If you want to read his story, it's in 1 and 2 Samuel. But King David, he was anointed king when he was just a little kid, but it took him years and years and challenges and trials and everything in order for him to reach the position of actually becoming king. And King David, he experienced a waiting season and in that waiting season, like we said, we're consistent. And in that waiting season, he went through so many different things. It was in that time that he was a shepherd and the Lord taught him how to fight beasts and care for sheep. And this prepared him for his epic battle against Goliath. And it really prepared him how to have compassion for the people that he would once lead because he had compassion for the sheep that he led as a shepherd. And it was in the waiting that, King David, Saul was trying to kill him. He was the king at the time, and Saul was trying to kill him. And so this is a time that David really learned how to trust God as his protector. That built character, let me tell you. And it was in the waiting where David, he learned how to truly rely on God in a supernatural way. And if he didn't experience that, if he didn't have that, his character wouldn't be built into the way that it was because, he faced a lion and a bear. He killed a lion and the bear to protect his sheep, and he got no recognition for that. Being anointed king, his father didn't even think that he was worthy of becoming king because whenever Samuel came to the house and he was going to anoint the king, he said, gather all your sons. David's dad didn't even bring him outside. He told all of his other sons to stop working and brought all of his other sons in, but he said, no, you need to just take care of the sheep. And that's something that is hard to face. And if you don't know how to face that rejection early on, and if you don't know how to face, family might not believe in you. If you don't face those, then when it comes to an even bigger thing, when there are people that are maybe not believing you in a bigger realm, in a bigger environment, whether it's your career, your family, certain decisions that you make, you got to have that strength build up little by little so you're able to face and be able to handle bigger things in the future. And it's called building character. Another area that King David experienced that character building is, with simply Goliath. When David fought Goliath, first King Saul tried to tell him how to fight, tried to tell him how to wear his armor. And, King David, if he would have compared his way of doing things to the way that King Saul did, and if he thought that King Saul's way was the only way to do it, then he would have never killed Goliath because his specialty was the slingshot and King Saul's specialty was the armor and the sword. And so whenever you go through that, King David learned how to not have that comparison and learn that his way of doing things, it worked for him, so he's going to keep sticking with it. Some of you in your life and in your career of going into success and going into a success in your family, your dreams and goals, you can't have that comparison control you. Can't have that comparison rule your mind because there's one way that might work for someone else, but it might also work for you a different way. So when you learn how to do that, it builds your character to where you can say no to what they say and say yes to what you have for yourself. And so, I mean, even King David throughout his entire time, it was a way that God was using these moments to make him into an extraordinary king. But it was in the waiting that he built this character. And so we learned that we're supposed to be consistent, but we learned that we got to actively build our character on the way to success. Because think about this, whenever someone wins $1 million in the lottery, they don't become a millionaire. They just are a person that just got $1 million, because you see these people that they win millions of dollars and then a year later they go bankrupt. Why? Because they're just a poor person with a lot of money. They never changed their mindset to become a millionaire. So if you don't have that character formation along the way of becoming the CEO or the owner of your own company or whatever dream that God has placed in your heart, you're not going to be able to sustain that level of weight and sustain that level of pressure. You're not able to carry that because you didn't have everything built along the way. Everything in life is like a muscle. The more you use it, the more it's going to grow. And so whatever you are planning for in your life, whatever you are dreaming of, just know that if it hasn't happened yet, maybe there's something that needs to be developed in you to get there. And so don't deny, don't forget, don't ignore the times that are building your character. Don't see them as failures. Don't see them as setbacks. See them as something that's creating you into the strongest version of yourself so that when it does happen, you're able to sustain it. So A, always be consistent. B, build your character. And C, commit for the long haul. Alex Hormozi, he debunks this idea of overnight successes, and he uses it in a way to tell people to think about their goals in long term rather than just getting caught up in short-term gains and quick fixes. Like I said earlier, I mean, short-term gains, that means it's going to last for a short amount of time. And quick fixes, well, the quick fix is only going to last for a little bit. And so when you have long-term goals, long-term plans, then they're able to be sustained in the long run. Committing to the long haul, well, it means embracing patience, perseverance, and a vision that extends far beyond the immediate rewards. And it's about setting your sights on the bigger picture and being willing to face the ups and the downs along the way that come with long-term goals. And so long-term goals, it's something that you got to learn how to practice, because we live in a day and age where everything is so immediate gratification based. And if we are used to that, it's going to be kind of hard at first to get into that long-term mindset. But when you do, it's going to be something that is sustained for much longer than if we just do short, quick fixes. The journey, it might take years, and there are going to be moments of doubt and there are going to be moments of frustration. But true commitment means sticking with your vision no matter how long it takes. And success, well, it's rarely instant. And it's honestly, though, when it does happen, it's one of the most fulfilling achievements whenever it's acquired through continuous effort. When you stay dedicated, even when the results seem distant, well, you build a foundation that can withstand any challenge and create lasting success. There is a story of a man named Edwin C. Barnes, and it's in Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And well, it illustrates beautifully what it means to be committed to the long haul. And how his story, well, it shows how time and persistence are often the bridge between desire and success. In 1905, Barnes made a bold decision. He wanted not just to work for Thomas Edison, but he wanted to become his business partner. With no money, with no credentials, with nothing to his name, well, Barnes, he took a freight train to Orange, New Jersey, and to present himself to Edison. He got in the door at his company, but it was only an entry-level job. And he still didn't complain because he saw it as a foot in the door and not a failure. Some of you maybe have a dream that is, well, it's a really big dream, and you don't feel like you're at the place where you want to be yet, and maybe it's at this organization and you applied for the job and then you got it and you're just at an entry-level position. But well, like Barnes, just see that as a foot in the door. Maybe it's whatever it is, see what you're doing right now as a foot in the door, because for 5 years, Barnes, he stayed at Edison's company, working quietly but with intent, and he waited for the right opportunity to prove itself, because the opportunity came 5 years later in 1910 when Edison developed a dictating machine that none of his sales team was enthusiastic. And so Barnes, he saw this potential. He's like, this is my moment to shine. And He asked for a chance to sell it, and well, he exceeded their expectations beyond their wildest dreams. And this success led to a formal business invitation by Thomas Edison to become a partner with him in business. And it's exactly what Barnes had envisioned 5 years earlier, but it just took him 5 years to develop and to build that character. It took 5 years to stay committed to, like, you know what, I may start at the entry level, but I know I'm going to reach my goal one day. He stayed committed to that, and he was now a partner. Barnes' journey reminds us that success, it takes time, it takes grit, and it takes patience. It's not about the immediate payoff. It's about unwavering commitment to the vision, even when the path is longer than we expected. Success only seems sudden when it finally gets noticed. Listen to that. Success only seems sudden when it finally gets noticed. How many of you have noticed a musical artist? All of a sudden, you're like, they just got really big. Or maybe it's a YouTuber, or maybe whoever it is, maybe it's someone in your career or whatever. And then it's like overnight, you're like, wow, this person's amazing. But you don't see the hours, the days, the years worth of effort and practice and repetition that caused them to become the version of themselves that is now seen in the spotlight. It takes a commitment to the long haul, and it takes a willingness to know that this dream is out there to be achieved. And all of these stories, they had those ABCs in common, but you know what else they had in common? An unshakable belief. You got to have a crazy enough belief that your dream is meant for you to walk into. You got to have a belief that your vision and staying committed to your goal, it's crucial for you, because even when you face setbacks, you know, hey, I'm going to the next level in my life. Remember, an overnight success, it's always years in the making. It's never overnight. They're earned successes. Like I said at the beginning, if you're in that years in the making season, I want you to remember this. Always get back up when you fall. Always get back up. Always be consistent and take action and focus on the long game, because think about this. I mean, how many of you are book nerds out there and you love series? Well, I have some friends who love series, and these books are 500, 700 pages, I think. And these storylines, they are twists and turns and good and bad, and there's progress in this one character's life, and then it just goes down. There's wins, there's successes, there's losses. And well, these characters in these books, you're so willing to read these books, you're so willing to go after page, go to the next chapter, because you know that there's a really awesome story that lies ahead. And so you buy the next book, and you buy the next book, and you buy the next book, and you even look up spoilers. And so you know that when you do read that book 4, that this is going to happen in book 4 that you just can't wait. And well, spoiler alert, your life, we have one. The Bible says that for he knows the plans that he has for you, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and to give you a future. God has amazing big plans for your life. And so we got to step into those, but we got to take action, because it's not just going to present itself to us. We got to work for it. And so always be consistent. Always get back up when you fall. Always stay committed to building your character and stay committed to that long haul, because you are worth the investment. You're worth every single hour, every single day, every single bit of financial investment, time, prayer. You are worth the investment, because God has truly big plans for you. We just got to put in the work. Because, you know, sometimes we're willing to do the work whenever it's for a short amount of time, but we got to do it for the long term, because there are really great things that lie ahead for you in your life. If you're willing to buy the next book, if you're willing to flip the page for the next chapter in a series, then you should be willing to flip the page in your life, to go to the next chapter in your life, and put the work in, because you are worth the investment. You're not behind. Some of you may think that you are behind, but you're just making something that's truly incredible. Some people might feel like, well, my friends have done this, my family has done this, but trust, you are not behind. You are just an overnight success that's years in the making. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you got anything from this, go ahead and give me a comment below and share this with someone you know. It just really lets YouTube know that this is content that you want to see more of. And I know that it can be an impact to someone else, so share it with someone and give it a like, comment, subscribe, And if you haven't already, turn on your notifications so you're alerted every single time that we post a new video. Well, thank you so much for joining again. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. That is all I have for you today, and I will see you again next week.